to order for the June the 14th, 2021 Buckingham County Board of Supervisors. That was of a quorum. We have 6 of 7. Invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Allen, could you do the invocation for us?
Let us pray. Thank you for each and every one that's here tonight. Pray you watch over us, lead, guide, and direct us in each and everything we say and do, that it be in thy name and in thy will. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I've got one change. If we could add on N7, add to N6, add another name for consideration of appointment to the Anti-Litter Task Force of Brother George Dean from St. Thomas Aquinas Seminary.
Yes, sir. I've got that down. Okay, I need a motion for the approval of the agenda. Have a motion. Okay. We have a motion and a second. Call for the vote, please. Approval of the minutes.
So moved, Mr. Chairman, that the minutes be approved as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for approval of the minutes. I'll call for the vote, please. Approval of the claims. Have a motion
I'll second it, Mr. Chairman.
and a second for approval of the claims. Call for the vote, please. Approval of the first quarter appropriations.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Call for the vote. Are there any announcements? Announcements? Public comments?
Right, we have one voicemail. Paul Barlow.
It's Paul Barlow, District 5. This is for the meeting for June 14th. I think I could speak for most of my members when we say that we would like to thank the Manteo headquarters, the VDOT station there, for doing such an excellent job in maintaining our road. Lately, we've had quite a bit of traffic on it. Traffic is increasing on it, and we are wondering if it could be considered being paved soon. And as an afterthought, we all know that Buckingham County is a watershed for the James River, and there's no way you're going to be able to get a cyanide-based gold mining operation in this county. Thank you.
He sent an email later. He neglected to say what road, and he said it was Pond Road, Route 738 that he was referring to. We have a email from Rhonda Alston. She says, I am writing to invite you all to our second annual Juneteenth celebration in Buckingham. The event is being presented by Forward 2020 and will take place on Saturday, June 19th from 11 to 4 at Straight Street. Forward 2020 was organized last year with the vision of playing a prominent role in our community by providing educational and social opportunities to promote and encourage voting. There will be a vendor market, voter registration drive, a COVID vaccination available, along with other activities which include gospel singing, historical reflections, along with games and prizes for children and adults. Additionally, we will be recognizing people from our community. Joe Chambers and Rebecca Carter are 2 of the honorees who will be recognized for their many years of public service in Buckingham County. I hope you will consider joining us at the 19th Straight Street. And she also left a flyer up there. And we have 6 signed up to speak. The first is Rick Ewing from the library.
Well, members of the Board of Supervisors, Ms. Carter, Mr. Carter, thanks for letting me speak. It's been a while. My first meeting back since last March. I finally got out of my house. So I'm pleased to be able to speak, particularly pleased tonight to tell you all how much I love the new library. And I just wanted to thank all of you for it, particularly Mr. Matthews, Mr. Chambers, and Mr. Donovan from before, who worked particularly hard on getting the library together. It's just a great place, and the community, I believe, is very proud of it, and I'm feeling very good about it. I'd also like to just mention one thing about the library. There was some damage from ice for the HVAC system, and I'm just really happy that the county is stepping in and saying heck with everything else. It's everybody else who's saying they're going to work on it. The contractor that originally put it in and so on. The county, I believe, is going to just go in there and get the work done, and I have a lot of faith in Mr. Queen, Daniel Queen, and getting that done, and I'm looking forward to it. I know it'll happen very quickly. I have one kind of an announcement, I guess, and that is that you probably don't know about this, but there's something called the Dolly, Parton Imagination Library, and it's a program to have books delivered to very young children at their homes through the mail, and Buckingham County, through the library, is going to be doing that for the children of Buckingham County. They get one new book a month until they turn 5. So that's going to be we got a $5,000 donation to make that happen, because it's not free. It's free for the kids, but it's not free. So Buckingham County is actually ahead of Prince Edward County. We're trying to find some money for Prince Edward County as well. So I just want to let you know about that. And finally, I'd just like to say a very big thank you. I'll join everybody else in congratulating Ms. Carter on her retirement, and to say thank you for your long and strong support of the library. And miss you, but you know, be around, stop on by. So it's been a while. Does anybody have any questions for me as the director?
Have you got all your little checklists taken care of that we had some hiccups with, or is
There are a couple of things that we're working on, but again, Daniel Queen is working with us, and Jamerson Lewis, the contractor, and I have every confidence everything will be handled. It's all fixable.
Okay, good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Ewing.
Donna McRae Jones, District 3.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm going to kind of piggyback on some of what Rick said about the air conditioning. I'm standing before you. My name is Donna McRae Jones. I'm in District 3, Road. However, I'm standing before you today, Buckingham Dillon Gardens Club. You may not have noticed if you haven't been there last week, but the Garden Club had a floral arrangements throughout the library. With different themes. One of the things that was noticed for why I'm standing before you, our little picnic meeting today, and I was charged with addressing this Board of Supervisors as to why the air conditioning hadn't been fixed. But through my investigation, I'm happy to say that trustee of the Central Virginia Library Board, all the work you have done and supported us in getting the task done.
Thank you.
Annie Diggs, District 6. Oh, okay. That's all right. Uh-huh. All right, so we have Joyce Gooden, District 6.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Joyce Gooden. I live on 1779 Shelton Store Road. I'm in District 6, and the Reverend Joe Chambers is my representative. This is the first meeting after our primary elections, and I am here to speak on that. I want to say again, thank you. I wanted to let it be known that Lindsay is awesome in organization and responsiveness. Buckingham's electoral board is awesome, and they are just as responsive to questions, especially my questions, since I tend to have a lot of questions. So I just applaud their organization, their responsiveness. Thank you for moving our election site to Sharon Baptist. We now have a better parking lot, which is safer, and safer for us who leave in the evening. And we have, there's actually a dusk to dawn light there in the parking lot. So we don't have to kind of figure our way to our vehicles. So love the parking and just better able to organize and serve the public when they vote. So again, I thank you to Lindsay. Thank you to the Buckingham Electoral Board, and thank you for moving the building. I appreciate it.
Eddie Slagle, District 3.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Ms. Carter, my name is Eddie Slagle, District 3, 2331 Back Mountain Road, Dillon, Virginia. I just came tonight because, excuse me, I wanted to thank personally Ms. Carter for all her years of dedication and service to the county. She was always one, if you had an issue, you could go out and ask to speak to her anytime. And I was a little hesitant there for a while because the receptionist found out who I was, and she would tell her that Eddie Slagle was out there, and I was always concerned that she was going to be busy or whatever, but she was never busy. She always had time for me. And I've told this story before that my wife and I were looking at several counties, and so I came up, and Ms. Carter was gracious enough to talk to me, and good, bad, or indifferent, she's the reason my wife and I are in Buckingham County. So if there's any reason you have fault, you can still blame her while she's still in office. But please enjoy your retirement. It's well earned, and like I've told you many times before, we're going to miss you. Thank you.
Kenda Hahnemann, District 5.
Kenda Hahnemann from District 5. I'm here tonight to acknowledge Mrs. Carter. Her last monthly Board of Supervisor meeting in this position of County Administrator. You're going to be missed, You've been a wonderful, kind representative and always responded so timely with any questions I had. So I think you're going to hear that again. Now I'd like to speak to Aston Bay's gold mining plans for the county. Gives you a reason to smile, huh? Well, as Mr. Ewing spoke about the library donation, I was waiting to hear him say who it came from. I don't know if any of you know, or if you'd like to guess. It's Aston Bay, a Canadian gold mining company. Makes me wonder why they're giving money to Buckingham County. I don't question supporting the program. It's a worthy program. But I do wonder why they would be doing this. It seems it's not so different than questioning why they'd spend over $1 million on exploratory drilling if it wasn't for gold mining. So who will demand sustainable development in Buckingham? People over profit. Friends of Buckingham and our allies will be attending the Juneteenth event, and we'll be tabling and also at multiple events throughout the year, and we'll be hoping to educate the public about gold mining. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all.
Next item is VDOT Road Matters with Scott Frederick.
Not Scott Frederick. Scott changed.
Scott had another meeting to go to, so he's not here today. I am Steve Snell. I am the Assistant Resident Engineer for VDOT in Farmville, and I thank you for inviting me today. The first items I have are about what our maintenance crews are doing. Right now, they are putting down plant mix out asphalt to patch and replace sunken lines on Route 645 and 655 and 656. They are still mowing on secondary roads to complete our mowing program. That will still take a few weeks. And along with that, they're cutting tree limbs as they see them. I mean, now that foliage is out, you'll have tree limbs starting to come down. You have a question?
Not right now.
Okay. And then on top of that, they are adding gravel to unpaved roads throughout the county. We call that leveling, to level out the road. And of course, on Route 60 here, we have a contractor repaving Route 60, and that's done through the district in Lynchburg rather than through the residency. That's it for the daily maintenance. Do you have any questions on that? Or any
Mr. Chairman.
items?
Mr. Miles, go ahead.
Yeah, so with regarding limbs, sir, I think Ronnie Palmer, who's Director of Transportation for the school division, reached out to some of us, and he was driving a bus halfway recently. Actually, the road was either Ranson or St. Andrews Road. That's St. Andrews Road, thank you. And he had to get over to some other reason, for some reason, and he hit a low-lying limb, not a stem, but a limb, and it like to have busted the windshield out of the bus. Now, if you had a less experienced driver hauling a bunch of school children, that could have been tricky, especially with some oncoming traffic. So how do you all go about the assessment of the low-hanging limbs, not the stems, because that happens to everybody, catch a leaf or something like that, but how do y'all go about assessing that?
Oh, assessing whether they're a hazard or not. Is that what you mean?
Sure, yes, sir.
Okay.
Countywide.
Yes. So our managers will drive around certain roads every week. Primary roads they do once a week. Secondary roads they do about once a month to see how the condition of the road is. So that's just us doing active work to see if we see anything. And pretty much if we think a truck could hit it, we will take it down. So that will go on our list for maintenance. If it's a hazard where it's an immediate hazard, we'll go out that day or get someone within a day or two. If we feel like you can just put on a regular maintenance program, when we're in that area, we'll go by and trim a lot of the trees that are hanging. Now, right now, because the foliage is getting full, is when you'll have those trees that were damaged in the storm but didn't fall. There'll be some limbs that will gradually start to hang. Ideally, if you know of one that you see, you can call we'll call our hotline, which is it's 4 roads. I always want to say it's Virginia Roads, but it's FORROADS, 4 roads. So 1-800-4-ROADS. And that, we have our customer service people that will take all the information, you give them the location and what the hazard is, and we will, within 3 or 4 days, have someone go out and look at it and assess it and address it in terms of its immediacy. So like that one that hit the bus, if someone had contacted us, or if they did, we would send someone out right away, because actually that one has been hit, so we know it's an immediate hazard. So we would go out and trim that. A lot of times for like single branch like that, the supervisor himself will go out and park his truck and cut that himself. Just to get, rather than waiting for a crew to get out there, because a crew we have to put on a schedule, they'll be somewhere else. So it's easier just for the supervisor himself to go out and get a single limb. But if it's an immediate hazard like that, we'll go out and do that right away.
And then the 2 other brief things were on Andersonville Road, the Ogden Family Trust Keep Virginia Beautiful sign got knocked down.
Okay.
It's right there as you get off of 15 south, turn right on Andersonville Road about 300 feet on the left. And then there are 2 dead trees, very dead trees, leaning across. Look, they appear to be about to fall at near 3491 Dixie Hill Road.
34.9, you said?
3491.
Oh, 91.
Yes, sir. And then
What was Dixie Hill?
Dixie Hill Road. Yes,
Okay.
sir. And then same thing at 6124 Andersonville Road.
Now, one thing I didn't get was the address for that bust. Is that limb still there, or was it?
We can. I'm sure that.
Okay.
We can get that to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is another way, it's just a public meeting, you can always bring things up to us. And that gets put in our work order. So we have a work order system that when you tell us at this meeting, or if a citizen calls our hotline, that gets put in a work order and it's tracked to make sure someone responds to it in a few days.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Next thing.
I've got a question for
Yes.
you. Does any other supervisor have any other needs or?
I got one.
Okay, Mr. Davis, go ahead.
Cartersville Road, up from Bryant's store. I brought it up a couple of times. There's a pothole in the road right there, right up about a half a mile up from Bryant's store that will swallow your car, and it needs to be fixed. And that road gets a lot of log truck traffic now, and it's just beating the road out more and more and more.
You said it was half a mile north of what?
Half a mile west of Bryant's store on Cartersville Road, going back towards 15.
Now, is this,
It's bad right
is
there.
it on the shoulder or is it on the paved surface?
It's out in the road about this wide now. It tries to suck you over into the ditch if you meet a car there. It's bad.
I'm surprised they haven't addressed that yet, if you brought it up already. I'll talk to them.
I got 2 concerns too. This is the second time I brought this up too, which is right down here going west on 60 out of the courthouse. You'll go past the that's the Presbyterian Church on the right. As you go past the Presbyterian Church on the right, there are 2 residences, and it starts a grade going down the hill, and it's a curve. And then when you go around that curve, it's a tree with a light pole that's grown up, and you can't see back up east. And it's a very dangerous situation. Now, Scott said they had to contact the electrical company to take care of the power company to take care of that's on the electric pole, but that's just part of it. It's really, some of it is on the state right-of-way that is obstructing the view back up 60 towards the courthouse east. The other concern is my district, which is State Route 636, which is Francisco Road going west. I don't know the address, but if you go west on Francisco Road, it's a gentleman by the name of Tommy Manus has a hog house on that. Entrance to his hog house, and I don't, like I said, I don't know the address. I just given this information by another resident. There's a tree that the root is actually leaning. The roots have come out of the ground, so it's only a matter of time that tree's going to fall across 636.
Yes.
So if you research it, Tommy Manus's hog operation there, or even Tommy Manus's address, I'm sure somebody could probably tell you how to get to that if you contacted him. But it's on the state right away. The other item is State Route 769. There's some construction going on at the intersection of 636 and 15, which is Shepherd's Store or Shepherd's Country Corner, Millbrook Country Corner now. And all that material that they've been digging out and reclaiming to widen the right of way and extend the I guess it's a turning lane there that's going to be going both directions. All that material is going up to Route 769. And last week they put some stone, finally put some stone on that road, 769. Well, I guess you could probably get with your contractor or with the VDOT person in charge there and find out how many loads have actually been down that 769. Well, they've already wore that stone that you put down there last week back out by hauling that material back up there after all this rain. So what you did last week is not doing any good. They've already mashed it down to where the road is spreading out to the ditches.
Yes.
So the people that live on that road, other than the person that's getting the dirt, is not benefiting from it. And at some point in time, they got to, I would say, this guy's gotten enough dirt, whoever that is. So.
And that's a contractor doing that work, so we'll have to get with
Pearson
get with the
Construction is
district.
doing the work, so.
Okay, I'll look into that.
And then the last concern, Mr. Chairman, forgive me, but at the intersection of Coleman Road and 24, if you headed west, so you would take a left. That road is, the entrance there is starting to crumble. It's a dirt road, but it's got obviously some entrance pavement right there, but that's crumbling on the west end of that intersection, and it needs some patchwork.
Now, we pave the main road, but not the private entrances. Is there a private
No,
entrance?
sir. No, so this is a state road, and I'm not asking to pave the whole road, but the entrance, the
Coleman?
the apron or whatever you want to call it.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Which is paved.
Okay, I'll look into that. Okay, anything else? Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, and we have the 6-year plan. Do you want me to announce it first, or would you like to?
Well, we're going to open up the public hearing, and then if you want to stay and listen to the concerns and all the discussion on that, so we're getting ready to do that next here.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Okay, we got item K, which is the public hearing for the 6-year plan for the Virginia Department of Transportation secondary 6-year road plan. So we're going to open the public hearing right now for discussion and any comments. Nobody signed up. Nobody signed up. Are there any questions or concerns from the board?
Mr. Chairman, as that switch we talked about during our work session, I talked to the folks, the residents of Hunters Road, and they are fine with that change, with the swapping of that for Red Road, putting Red Road ahead of Hunters Road. So they are, I contacted them and talked to all of them, and they're fine with that.
Did you look at the schedule to make sure it was changed the way you want
Yes,
it?
sir, I did. Yes,
Is
sir.
it the way you want it?
I'll double look, but when I looked, it was. Yes.
Okay, so we're good to go with the 6-year plan as it is written. Are there any other questions from you, gentlemen?
Well satisfied with what we did.
Mr. Allen, you good?
I just wanted to add on to the ones that we talked about at the end of the meeting, did they add it on to the end of it, or will that be for next time?
Was that showing on our documentation there?
Didn't see it.
We changed the format halfway through, so last 3 years on the program, 24, 25, they actually lump it into one page by route number. A little confusing. It's just more allowing us to be more flexible with the pay schedule.
Yes, sir.
That's why there's a format change on it. But which one were you asking about? Do you know the route number? One was added?
I think there were several added at
In
the
the
end.
minutes.
I can read the ones for this year, which are, for this year, which would be 2027, which is the year where we pick new roads, would be Route 708, Route 717, Route 622, and Route 653. So currently on your plan, that will be the one without a date, because we'll put this date in there.
All right, what page are you on, sir? I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm sorry, on page 4 of 6, about midway down. And, yes, there's a kind of a blank date there, and that's the last year, that's 2027. And those 4 to the right are the new ones that we added this year.
Let me see. Minutes.
You see that page 4 of 8?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
780, 790.
That's Route 708 from Route 602 to dead end, Route 717, which goes from Route 613 to 1.06 miles north of Route 613. There's Route 622, which goes from Route 622 to 1.33 miles south of Route 622. And then there's Route 653, which goes from Route 602 to Route 698.
Was Fitzpatrick Road added to this? That's what I requested during our work session, sir.
Yes, unfortunately, I don't know the route names.
I will have to defer to someone more senior than me. Fitzpatrick Road off of 602.
You do have a route off of Route 602, which is 653.
No, that's Axtell Road.
Oh, okay.
Number? You know what I'm talking about? Where,
I know what you're talking
where
about.
Glory Wood.
I really don't know.
Let me Google it real quick.
I see the one I was talking about. That was 717 coming
Okay.
off 613.
On the split side district,
Yeah.
I have a
I
lot.
was just trying to remember the name of the road. I'm bad with names. I think it's Randolph.
Randolph Creek. Road.
Randolph Creek. Yeah.
708.
Oh, so 708 is on there.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Yes, it goes from Route 602 to the dead end.
Right.
And sorry about that, I just used it.
No,
through this county.
you're good. All good. Problem.
Mr. Terry Duncan called me about Payne Pond Road. I told him it's still on the list. We had the planned meeting the other night, last week. But I think the numbers ain't exactly right though. I think it's supposed to start off with 20, don't it? They don't have, supposed to be connected to 20?
For this year, if that's in past years, let me see. There is Route 605 that goes from 20 to the dead end, so that may be.
That's
Payne
not
Pond.
it.
Okay.
If you got to pass on down to 695 there across from Springlers, that road, Payne Pond Road, on your right going back through there. I think it's 679. You got Route 679?
Like going to Scottsville.
That's right.
from-
It's
Mm-hmm. It's be the next road.
There is, did you say Paynes Pond Road?
Paynes Pond Road.
Yeah, so that's the previous allocations, that is in year 2020 and 2022, which are on page 2 of 6.
Okay.
So those are still on there.
All right.
So Paynes Pond Road, which is Route 679, runs from Route 784 to 2.8 miles north of Route 784. And then there's another section for the following year, which is also Route 679. And it runs from Route 652 to Route 784.
That's not my question. My question is when it connect to Route 20.
Will it connect to Route 20? In terms of the
See,
improvements?
when you pass 695,
Yes.
like Hatton Ferry Road, the next road is 679.
Mhm.
So when did that part connect to Route 20 north right there, going north?
Are you, so I'm not sure if you mean the improvements or a new
No,
road?
no, it's the road, you're supposed to tie it, but see, the numbers you gave me don't connect it to Route 20.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying, when it could be connected to Route 20.
The improvements.
No, yeah, when you get ready to tie it, rough surface it.
Yeah,
I
it
told him
doesn't,
before, I told him 3 times that something is wrong with them numbers because it's not connected to the Route 20.
yeah, I can't answer that right now on this spot, so I'm sorry about that. But I will look.
Page 3 of 6, the last one.
Oh, is it again? Oh, so is that's 627? Yeah, so I'm not actually too familiar with the roads in this county, so I can't, off the top of my head, see if it's connecting or not. I will have Scott call you, though.
Okay, thank you.
It's not even addressed on the last page,
What I'm saying is,
679.
it's
There is one limitation we have in terms of these roads. I don't know if it applies in this case, but if it has less than 50 vehicles a day traveling on it, it currently isn't on our list of roads to do.
Oh,
So
no, that,
you wouldn't be able to choose that road, any roads less than 50 vehicle trips per day.
it's got more than that.
oh, this got more than, this road already been approved. I'm just saying the numbers on the page not connecting right.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying.
So you're saying it should go up to 20, but it doesn't
Right,
show that.
Right, that's what I'm
So
saying.
I'll have Scott look at that and
Okay,
get back.
thank
to
you.
Are there any other questions, even though I apologize for not knowing the roads?
Need a note to contact Mr. Chambers or County Administrator about that road right there.
Yes.
We'll close the public hearing at this time.
I'd move we adopt the 6-year secondary road improvement plan, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to adopt the 6-year plan as written, with the exception of Paynes Pond Road or
679.
679?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, and they're gonna get with you on that, so we don't forget it. All right, call for the vote, please. One absent. All right, the next item is item number item L, which is zoning matters. There are no zoning matters this evening. The next item will be item M, presentations by Mr. Carter, Davenport and Company.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Last month, you were updated by Davenport about possible dual-track financing for refinancing the county library and community center. Tonight, Cal Loxman Davenport is back to share with you the updates on that dual-track project process, and would ask for your to take an action item on a resolution. So I'll turn it over to Cal.
And Mr. Chair and members of the board, nice to see y'all as always. I think I should start as a number of the other speakers have previously in giving some public thanks to Ms. Carter, Mrs. Carter. I think I've had the good fortune to work with you as a county for as long as I've been around in this role. So that's about 18 years, and during that whole time period, we've really enjoyed working with Becky, if I can, and we're certainly saddened in some ways to hear of her retirement, but certainly she's earned it. And I think as we work with lots and lots of counties, local governments across the region, across the state, I think that stability of management you've had is something that's been very, very impressive. And so I think you see that in your finances, which is in part what we're here to talk about tonight. And we just want to say on behalf of all my partners at Davenport, we've really appreciated working with Mrs. Carter over the years. So thank you. And so with that, Mr. Chair, you may recall maybe about a month ago, colleague R.T. Taylor was here to brief you on what is really hopefully an opportunity for you to refinance some existing debt for savings purposes. At the time, the idea was to do something we've done many times in the past with the county and various capital projects, which is to give ourselves multiple options to think about going and achieving that financing. The loan in question, I'll use that term, is a 2019 loan that was issued for the library. Heard some positive commentary about that this evening, so it's always nice to kind of come full circle on that. And what we're really seeking to achieve in this case, and I know you've got a presentation in front of you, and I'll reference just a couple pages in this for reference, and then we can kind of get to the recommendations and the next steps. But on page number 3, I can't tell if, is that my mic, you think? Move that, so we'll keep moving. But on page number 3, just a couple details. This is about a $5 million loan, again, issued back in 2019 for the library. The current rate on that loan is a 2.87%. That was a good rate at the time, remains a solid rate, but one that we think in the marketplace could be lowered for savings purposes. So at the core of this, what we're really talking about is giving ourselves an ability to go from a higher rate to a lower rate and save money in the process. One other aspect of this loan is there's an interest rate reset that doesn't occur until 2034. So we've got a number of years before that occurs, but we think one of the ways we can take advantage of the fact that rates are low right now is to go ahead and get that rate locked in through the full term of the loan. So really kind of a two-purpose financing. One is bring the rate down. The second is let's just go ahead and lock it in through the final maturity of the loan while we're at it. Importantly, we're not extending any term of any debts. There's no extension of any debt. The idea is let's keep the final maturity of that loan the same, so we're paying it off basically in the same schedule we already were. So that was sort of the background just for your reference. So what we've done over the intervening time period is we've gone out and we've gotten bids from banking institutions competitively. That's local banks, national banks, regional banks. Everybody had, in essence, the same shot to put a bid in. And we've gotten those bids back. That's what we call direct bank loan. Maybe you want to reference page number 5 in your booklet. And then the second of our two options, which is really what we're recommending to you tonight, is what's called the Virginia Resources Authority. So shorthand for that is VRA. VRA is a state-run program that you as a county have used multiple times in the past. They issue bonds on behalf of local governments in the public credit markets. And it's a long-standing state program that enjoys some of that backing from the state, and that then translates to a lower interest rate for you than maybe you would have otherwise achieved on your own. So those were our two options. We've gone through this process. Cutting straight to the chase, what we're recommending to you tonight is that VRA option. The bank proposals were solid. You will see them on page number 6. Again, the existing rate on the loan there, we'd be taking that with these two proposals that we got, one from Truist Bank, one from Sterling Bank. So those are the two bank bids that came in. They were solid, but really we think the VRA provides a better opportunity for us. And so we'll talk through that on the next couple pages. So if you flip to page 7, page 7 is probably the most important page, if you will, in the booklet here, and we'll explain what it is we mean by the recommendation on the VRA side of things. So the way VRA operates, again, they sell bonds in the public credit markets on your behalf. They're basically going to do that at the end of July. So what we have right now is an estimate of what the savings would be if indeed we participated in that program. VRA has approved our application. We're not bound to move forward, but we are positioned to be able to do that if you as a board determine you'd like to do that. And so VRA, if you look at that first column there, look at that all-in true interest cost number, that 2.17%. So that's the estimate right now, taking into account all the various factors, all the costs that would be involved of what the all-in interest rate, very similar to like an APR on a car loan, a home mortgage, something like that. That 2.17% is the best estimate we have of what that rate would be if VRA were selling their bonds today. What that would mean for you as a county is that you would save about $415,000 over the life of the loan. That equates to about $23,000 a year. And importantly, it equates to an estimated present value savings of 6.7%. So that 6.7% is an industry benchmark. We actually want that number to be higher. That's not an interest rate. That's a way of measuring the savings of the loan. Anything above 3% is viewed as being favorable. And so that's the estimate of what VRA looks like today. You compare that to Truist Bank, which is those columns to the right there, which was the best bank proposal that we got. And the savings there is about $200,000. So basically, roughly speaking, the VRA option looks to be in the current market saving is about double what that Truist proposal would indeed be saving us, and hence our recommendation to you this evening. Page number 8 gives you all kinds of numbers to look at. We've gone through with Mrs. Carter and Mr. Carter and EM as well, and kind of leading to our recommendations to you that would go with that VRA option. An important caveat here is that VRA, as I mentioned, doesn't sell bonds till late July. So we do have between now and that, they sell bonds on July 21st, whereby we're subject to movements in the market. We don't know exactly what that rate is until such time as VRA sells. We feel like given the difference in these various options, it makes some sense to put that VRA option as the one we'd like to move forward with. And what you'll see is that in the resolution we'll talk about in a minute, there's certain thresholds whereby if the rates were to move upwards between now and the end of July, more than about 30 or 40 basis points, which is about 1/3 to 0.4%, then the transaction, the refunding wouldn't happen. That's there to basically cover and guard you in case rates do something unusual or unexpected, which we don't control, VRA doesn't control, between the end of July. Make sure you're covered and protected and not having to do a refunding that isn't saving you any money. That's really the overlying sort of purpose there. So I'll flip over to page number 9, and actually probably even just take you to page number 10. A couple other important details. VRA, by virtue of how they sell their bonds, you'd have the ability to prepay the loan in the future. They have what's called a 10-year lockout, and that's just kind of what I'll call the typical provision for bonds sold in the public credit markets. The first 10 years of loan are basically set and fixed, which in this rate environment, although we've been surprised in the past, you wouldn't expect to be able to or want to prepay something that is maturing at such low rates. And then things that mature, meaning principal that matures after year 10, you can prepay with no penalty. So we still retain some prepayment flexibility into the future. The underlying collateral for the loan remains unchanged. It's the library. That's how it was set up originally. That won't change at all, and that's very typical for how a loan like this is done across the state. So I think then we can go to page 11 and walk you through the next steps, and they're very few. Basically, there's a resolution I believe Mr. Carter handed out to you, and it was in your board package. That resolution, which is prepared by your bond counsel, McGuire Woods, would be the only step that is needed of the board in order to give yourself that opportunity to go ahead and participate in that VRA pool. So there's really just one step we need of the board, and that's it. From that time period, VRA works on your behalf between June and July and sells the bonds towards the end of July. I will point out one very important provision within that resolution, and it basically says, it's kind of the operative provision within that multiple page document. It basically says if the all-in true interest cost that we just talked about as being about 217 right now, if that goes above 2.5%, that's the governor, whereby we're not really saving any money if the interest rate goes above that. And so our recommendation has been we set that parameter at such a level that if we're not saving money as a county on a net basis, then the refunding doesn't happen. You're not charged any money. And so that's sort of the protection there. So amongst that whole multiple page document, that's probably the most important provision that basically says, look, if rates go up more than 30 or 40 basis points between now and July 21st, we as a county, no need to move forward with it, no obligation to move forward with it, because there just isn't any savings there for us. I just point that out, Mr. Chairman, is probably the most important aspect of that resolution. With that, I know there's a lot of information in a short time period, so I will pause there and see if there are any questions of the board.
I don't think there are any questions. I mean, it's pretty cut and dry. And, we appreciate the good job and letting us know about this. And Mr. Carter did a good job, and Ms. Carter too. So the whole process has been very, very good. So thank you.
Yes, sir.
Anybody got anything?
All right.
Appreciate
Thanks, sir.
that.
Yep,
All
sir.
right.
Okay.
Make a motion to,
I'd move,
quick,
I would move that we accept the resolution as presented
second.
for refinancing.
Have a motion and a second to take a really hard look at accepting this resolution to save the county a tremendous amount of money in just about a year's time. So that means interest rates are working in our favor a little bit. So we're going to pass that along to the taxpayers. Thank you so much. Let's call for the vote, please. Unanimous, 6-0, and 1 absent. Okay. Yes, sir.
Wildwood, you heard referred to, will be representing the county in the bond issue. It's a fairly sophisticated area. McGuire Woods is also a very well-established firm in the state. They also represent the VRA. You think, well, how can you do both sides? In this particular case, there is a fairly good distinction of roles, and these types of things are pretty cut and dried, so there really is no inherent conflict with that happening. You know, they're different departments and do different work. But because you're the client of McGuire Woods in the bond issue, and VRA is the client for the bond issuing agency, I would ask the board to consider adopt a resolution that they would waive, being aware of that conflict, waive any conflict McGuire Woods might have by representing VRA in the county.
Aspect of it.
So move.
We have a motion addressing that Mr. Wright just touched on. Second. Have a second by Mr. Davis. Call for the vote. Does the motion need to conclude what you talked about, Mr. Wright? Okay.
Right.
So Mr. Chambers made a motion benefit right there.
That's right.
Right.
Mr. Allen, did you second that?
Mr.
Or
Davis,
Mr. Davis, okay. All right, so you got it all, Ms. Land, okay. All right. Yes, sir, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, it's unanimous, 6-0, 1 absent. Item. Got item number N, department, agencies, and reports and items of consideration. Number 1, consider appointment of the new county administrator to represent the county on the following boards and commissions: Regional Jail Authority, Piedmont Regional Jail Detention Board, Virginia's Heartland Board of Directors, and alternate to the Workforce Investment Board. These titles and jobs will be passed along to the new county administrator. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, could we add to that the Commonwealth Regional Council, please? Because that's Ms. Carter
Administrator representative.
also serves there.
Okay, and the Commonwealth Regional
Probably
Council.
several more, but that one, yeah.
Good with that call?
We'll address that at the, in closed session. All right, number 2,
Vote on
We got to vote on this, don't we?
Yeah.
We got to vote on this, don't we?
What you seen, typed it up
Do
yet?
we need to vote on that,
Yeah.
Madam Ms. Carter? Okay.
You got to type it up.
number 1. Yeah, okay. Right, all those things will be passed along to the next county administrator. Okay,
Okay, move it.
call for the vote. Right, it's unanimous, 6-0. All right, the next item is Mr. Carter, Finance Department, consider audit engagement letter. Can you give us a little enlightenment
Yes, sir,
on
Mr.
that?
Chairman. In your packet, it should be a audit engagement letter agreement from RFC. They need this signed to you guys, by you guys, in order to come do our audit for the fiscal year 2021. They're scheduled to be at our office the week of July 12th. So this is one of those things outlining that agreement you have, what they're responsible for and what the county's responsible for. It's just a basic agreement showing that you agree to have them come in and look at our documents before they come in.
Nothing's changed from last year to this year?
No, sir.
Okay.
So moved, Mr. Chairman, that we engage there too.
We have a motion.
Second.
And a second from Mr. Davis. Call for the vote. Unanimous, 6-0. Item number 3 is going to be Cody Davis, Department of Emergency Management. Notice of a grant award of $10,784.91 from the ESO Transition Hardware Special Initiative Grant Program. Just wanted to introduce Mr. Davis and thank him for the great job that he's doing.
Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you for that, Mr. Chairman. So the state of Virginia, all EMS agencies utilize a reporting software to report our run reports. The state of Virginia is transitioning to a new software. They opened up an opportunity for agencies to receive some hardware to better support that new software. So we jumped at the opportunity and we're able to receive that grant. That grant it has no match obligation, 100% funds from the state, nothing from us. And with that, we'll be able to receive 3 brand new ruggedized laptops to be able to do our patient care reporting and field work off the ambulances. So I wanted to advise you guys of that and ask you to appropriate it. And while I've got the floor, if you're all right with it, I'd like to go ahead and advise you of a few other items as well.
Yes, sir. Help to.
All right. We'll continue with money coming to the county because that's the good stuff. I've partnered with the Sheriff's Office, Lieutenant Jamerson, Lieutenant Ustanovich. They've been very proactive in trying to kind of rising tide raises all ships. And they have worked diligently to ensure that all of their staff are CPR first aid trained, stop the bleed trained. With that, we endeavored to put some more equipment in their hands to where they can utilize that skill set to help. You know, they're kind of spread throughout the county, whereas we're coming from a station a lot, so they might be able to begin the process of patient care, or even if something happens, you know, as we're getting there. So with that said, we received a quote from a company for AEDs, the heart defibrillators, like what you see on the wall out here. Enough units to outfit their entire fleet. These units work in tandem with the units that we use, plug and play. Software is all the same, so really just a continuous thing, countywide approach. That total cost was $35,700. We did approach Kyanite Mining for their assistance in this endeavor, and they've agreed to give us $18,000 towards that project, and then another $10,000 atop that $18,000 if we can find the other $7,700 elsewhere. So that's where we're at now. They're going to go ahead and cut us that $18,000 check so that we can begin the procurement process. Not only did they work with us for the funds, but their procurement officer, Mr. Jones, did what he does and was able to knock the total price down by $3,000. So they're just want to let you guys know how great of a partner that industry group is to our public safety here, and how awesome the sheriff's office is in partnering with us. Just keep priority.
I'd add, we looked at the CARES money. We don't think this would be a qualified expense by the guidelines, but we do feel like you have in your budget the $7,700. So the board would agree. They don't even have to appropriate the money because it's in the budget, but they would agree for you to use that money to match this Kyanite contribution, which is wonderful. And we can move forward and take care.
I'd like to go ahead and make a motion to give you the money, the only grant for the $10,784.91, and then we'll move back on to what you're talking about now.
Mark, yes, sir.
Second.
We got a motion and we need a second for that.
Mr. Bryan. Mr. Bryan, second.
Call for the vote for that. Unanimous, 6-0.
Chairman, can I ask Cody a question while we got him up here?
Yes, sir.
Cody, do we have the AEDs in the library and all?
We've got one here and one at our training center. I can't speak to whether or not they're.
I was just thinking that, to me, every building that the public goes in ought to have one handy. If
Mr. Ewing might be able to answer that question. Is there one up there, Mr. Ewing? Okay.
I believe these funds will give us 20 units, which kind of gives us enough to, if one goes down, we're able to replace it. But I also believe it would give us enough to be able to outfit some of our public buildings.
I was just thinking, we put one in our church just because our congregation is getting older, and just a good thing to have around.
Vote on that.
If they would have vote to use emergency management budget money to match the Kyanite mining grant.
$7,700. Is that what, that's what needs to be done? Okay.
Well, my machine is frozen.
Stuck on the other.
So move that, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion by Mr. Miles and a second by Mr. Davis. In regards to allocating the $7,700 for the additional money for that particular $35,700, is that right? Okay. For the ADDs, that was given by Conite for the principal amount of that, and then the rest of it is on CARES Act money. Okay, we'll call for the vote.
Couple more items, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. We've got all night.
More money coming to the county. Revenue recovery with EMS since we started in that business was slow at first. You guys, especially that worked on the rescue squad committee historically, know that we are finally starting to see what we expect. We went the first 3 months of doing revenue recovery, we were seeing roughly a $12,000 to $15,000 intake, and then in May, what happened in April was Medicare started to pay, which is a big thing for us. So our May intake was $112,000. But that was, the backlog playing catch up, which puts our average for those 4 months out to, 36,000 and some change, which is lower than what we anticipate still, but we still have some payers that are still in kind of waiting, like Medicaid for one. So once those our trend is getting where we think we will be. That some
I
encouragement.
thought he was gonna have to use one of those machines on me if that money didn't see it coming in.
Yeah, I thought I might be job hunting, but anyways, all right, moving on. Now we're getting away from money, and I don't want to beat this dead horse anymore, but COVID-19, we are working with the state to bring in mobilized vaccination sites, no more big sites, just small pinpoint one-day events with the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, and we've got 5 coming to the county over the next 2 Saturdays. I wish I'd written it out better. I do know one of those events is going to be at the Juneteenth event. We're going to bring that resource right there on site from 2 to 5 that day. And then also the other 4 events are taking place at Sharon Baptist Church, Concord Baptist Church, Toga Volunteer Fire Department, and St. Andrews Baptist Church. And we felt like those sites, and then you take into account the mass site we had, and then also the health center, we really honestly have distribution all over the county at this point. So that's exciting stuff. If anybody needs any more information on any of that, just reach out, and I'll be glad to let you know. And outside of that, I don't know if you guys have any questions for me with everything we've got going on, but that's all.
I just wanted to say you're doing a tremendous job. I appreciate it. I mean, it looks like every month we've got a grant that you've applied for that we're receiving. So I just want to say thank you. Appreciate it. And I know the citizens want to say thank you. So
I appreciate everything you guys have done. So
thank you.
Good to see that extra money coming in,
Yeah, right. All right, thank y'all.
Thank you.
Item number 4 is general properties. Mr. Carter, the courthouse renovation.
Yes, as some of you know, you visited the courthouse and saw the old facility and noticed it needed some repairs and maintenance. We knew this was coming. When we adopted our budget back in April and May, we put money in the budget for this upcoming fiscal year to take care of some of those repairs. So I'm just asking tonight, do you want to appoint a committee to work on that project? I've given some suggestions such as the county administrator, the county attorney, the general properties director, and 2 board members. I know once again the courthouse is in Mr. Miles' district, so he might want to step up and volunteer for that committee, or
yes, sir.
Do you want to do?
Mr.
I
Miles,
recommend Mr. Miles.
Well, Mr. Miles, yeah, that's.
They're quick.
I see it. If anybody else doesn't want it, I'd do it. But so if somebody wants to step up and do it, that's fine. But I do agree. I think Mr. Miles should be on that committee since the courthouse is in his district.
I'll serve on it, just keep him straight.
To keep me straight.
Mr. Chairman said he'd serve on it.
That's awesome. Have at it. Okay, so we have a motion with, I think, the county administrator and the county attorney and the general properties manager, along with Mr. Miles and Mr. Chambers as the ad hoc committee.
Motion.
That, so
Second.
Davis made the motion and Mr. Allen seconded it. So can we call for the vote?
17 times.
Unanimous then, okay. Unanimous, okay. Now we got, number 5, which is, the general properties. Mr. Carter, consider the bid for harvesting the hay at the county business park.
The only one you had, huh?
Yes, sir. It was the same one we had last year for
They
$50.
want less, don't give it
I
to
so
them.
moved, go ahead, give it to him.
Got a motion and a second. Vote. Unanimous. Item number 6 is the Anti-Litter Task Force. Consider the appointment of Casey Davis to the Anti-Litter Task Force. Can we add another name to that also at the same time, or do we need to make a separate motion for that? Put two names. Can you put 2 names in there, Ms. Carter? Casey Davis and brother George Dean with the seminary. Be added to the Anti-Litter Task Force. Got a motion and a second by Mr. Bryant and Mr. Miles. Call for the vote on that. It's unanimous, 6-0. All right. Item number O, other matters for board consideration. Crossroads Services matters, Vice Chairman Miles.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. So before you in the, out of the packet, but was laid at the, on your desk was a resolution that basically, the last 2 items there, several counties are encouraging similar resolutions in terms of wanting to know if there was any fiscal malfeasance or issues regarding the finances of Crossroads Community Services Boards. As your representative to Crossroads, I report to you that there's been a lot of questions by current staff, former staff, and those in the community, especially some of our county administrators and county boards of supervisors. Hence the following resolution. I'm on the finance committee for the Crossroads Community Services Boards, and some of the biggest questions that we have outstanding, there was a payroll protection plan loan that was forgiven of about $2.4 million. We don't know exactly how that money, the savings, is going to be rolled into the upcoming fiscal year for the for Crossroads Agency. There's the Office of the Inspector General for the Commonwealth has been contacted several times. So obviously the agency has some lingering issues, and as the other boards of supervisors feel in the region, that a forensic audit paid for by Crossroads for fiscal years 19, 20, and 21 is very much warranted, and I agree with that. Also, the second thing is the resolution will call for a firm to audit the policies and internal controls of the agency and make recommendations. There's been a lot of questioning as to the agency not correctly following its policies and internal controls, and lots of budgetary questions. So this is just basically a statement that from this board, if we approve this, Mr. Chairman, that Crossroads need to conduct a forensic audit in order to see if there are any problems, fix those moving forward with the new executive director. There's a search going on there that's kind of separate from this, and do an audit of their policies to make sure that what they're doing is accurate.
Forensic just for 20 and 21. Thought I heard you say 2021.
Yeah, my apologies. So it would be, so the forensic audit would be for fiscal years 19, 20, and 21, according to the resolution. And the county wouldn't have any financial tie-in in that audit that would be paid for by the agency. And the other thing is, Crossroads doesn't know how much we've lost from reimbursements and fees from COVID, and that's been going on for a year and some change now. And there's question about that 10% match that Crossroads asks for. It's a 10% of what the Crossroads gets from the state. Well, that's never been memorialized anywhere. That's said, but where is it written? And so the second part of that resolution would address that.
Making this into a motion?
Sure, yes, sir.
Adopt a resolution
Adopt the resolution, yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Yes,
that you provided this evening.
Yep, and that staff obviously had some input too, so.
Have a motion and a second to adopt this resolution to request of the Crossroads Community Service Board to conduct this forensic audit for the years that Mr. Miles mentioned.
And Mr. Chairman, one last thing. I will say that other counties have added to their resolutions, if y'all don't do this, we're going to withhold money. This is not in this resolution.
It wasn't there?
Saying they
So
would-
other counties, supervisor chambers have said, like for instance, Prince Edward and Cumberland, in their resolution, they said, Crossroads, if y'all don't do this, we're gonna not give you any, we're not gonna give you any money. This is not in
Until
here.
the audit is approved,
Right.
you will lose a lot of jobs. If
They won't hold any funds until.
Those counties decided to do that.
Can we do that legally?
We're not trying to do that, but those other counties did
It's
that.
operated with a lot of state and federal money.
That's
I
not
don't
in the
know that you
resolution.
can-
That's what I'm saying.
Right,
Okay.
You can withhold your money, yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You can't hold it.
Right, but this is not in there.
Okay.
You can hold the county money back.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, but you can't hold it. It's not legal to do that. Ain't had no problem you got on there. Everything going smooth.
This
We,
silk.
Call for the vote, please. Unanimous 6-0. Next item is consider a resolution and memorandum of Temple Pauline Taylor. Motion for that, please.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Second. Call for the vote, please. Item number 3, consider resolution and memorandum of Margie S. Bryant.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion and a second. Call for the vote, please. Unanimous. Item number P, which is the county attorney matters.
Chair and members of the board, I'm here tonight to report on a couple of matters. The first action of business on your agenda is consideration of a waiver of the State Board of Elections pursuant to the court section cited there. If you remember, we discussed this last time. The General Assembly this past time dealt with split precincts. We have one such in town of Dillon with county that voted a different place. Given all the factors in terms of reports and due from census and otherwise, there's just not going to be enough time. The registrar asked that the board consider a request for a waiver of that. Pretty standard, it's happening around the state. I think the resolution's there, she's reviewed it, we've gone over it. I'd ask that you consider adopting that resolution requesting a waiver.
So moved.
Motion. Second by Mr. Bryant.
Mr. Chambers.
Or Mr. Chambers. Okay. Call for the vote. Unanimous. The next item, White, is update on Hatton Ferry.
Hatton Ferry, I do have an update on that. It's a pretty good update. If you remember, if those of you knew that ferry, it had lodged itself in the trees or the bushes on the Buckingham side of the river. It was somewhat of an impediment to getting into the river from the state right-of-way that exists there. At the last meeting, you authorized me to work with some groups to figure out what we could do to get that solved. And I contacted basically a consortium probably headed by the Albemarle Charlottesville Historical Society. I'm happy to report to you that not this past weekend, but the weekend before that, they brought in a crane and they dislodged the ferry from the trees and the bushes and put back in the water, which was a major success. They had examined it to make sure that it was river worthy and wasn't hurting anybody. That's only to be trumped by that. The mooring for that ferry is in Albemarle County. Mooring dock, whatever the right official word is, had been damaged and the chain had broken, and so the process they are evaluating that and looks pretty close to solving that problem. But you know, a little rain was appreciated by a lot of people this weekend, but what that rain did, it raised the level of the river enough that they were able to move the ferry from the Buckingham side back to the Albemarle side where it's supposed to be moored to begin with, and it's temporarily moored over there in good shape. So that group has done significant work. You know, when we took that on as the county, I told you I didn't expect the county to own that ferry forever. So what I'd ask that you, unless I hear negative, I'm going to proceed to continue my discussions with that consortium of individuals. I think the next step, they have demonstrated the ability to do things. They've certainly identified the ability to raise a little money and get that ferry back in the water. They're looking to raise a little bit more money to do some things. But we need to have a real frank discussion about the financial viability of that group long term to make that happen so that we don't come back around this cycle again. I'm extremely encouraged by that. Involved in that group is not directly, but members of the Historical Society here in Buckingham and other supporters. They have been very active in seeing that those things done. So that's a pretty good report, and the next step will be discussions with them to see if that might if the ferry might find a permanent home either there or with another nonprofit group. So unless you have some objection, I will continue those. The final item that I need to talk to you tonight is about the Dillon Medical Building. As you remember, there we had an agreement with Centera that they were going to transfer that building. We got the kinks worked out of that. That document got executed and transmitted to Centera, and I've been in discussions with them, and I haven't had a chance to follow up today. But as of early last week, my impression was that the deed conveying to that property to the county had been signed and probably is on its way or may even have arrived in the clerk's office. So I anticipate certainly within the next week or 10 days, that building, that medical building, will belong to the county. So that's a positive step forward, and I have tried to express to Centera at each step of the way that the county is appreciative of their consideration. The building originated, started there actually, so it's come around. Evolved many, many years ago. Acquisition by the county of that from shoe company. So that's how long it's come full circle. As that building comes back to the county, I'd like, with consultation with the administration here, to have our building guys go in and sort of take a look at it, do an assessment. I understand that building is not equipped. It's not equipped with medical facilities. It is a raw building that came back. Does allow us, after some careful deliberation of how we might want to see. The first thing is really to get an assessment of what that building may need to make it shine a little bit. So unless you have some objection to that in conjunction with administration. But also I want to say again on Hatton Ferry, we really appreciate that gift to the county because everybody's not losing that. That has a strong attraction to bring people to this area and properly dealt with and bargained. So I have a little good news. All those are the good news items tonight, so better than sometimes when a lawyer stands in front of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, could we send a letter to Dr. Bruce Clemens with Centerra thanking them, if that's appropriate? Ms. Carter?
Of course, I'll thank him several times, but I think a letter of gratitude will take care of.
Item number Q, the county administrator report.
Yes, the first item is I have provided you with a personnel report from the Personnel Committee under separate cover. And as always, if you do not agree, I would recommend you discuss this matter in closed session. I have an update on the status of Dominion EMS grant money. You know, when the pipeline was proposed to come through, part of their community investment was to give money to the county to provide for better emergency medical services, particularly in that area, Glenmore particularly. And of course, part of that agreement was that if the pipeline came through, they would give us that money. Well, we've been pursuing it, and they have said they would honor the commitment. And I can tell you that I got the call today. Carl's provided them with the bank transfer money, transfer numbers, and the $1.5 million will be in our county account by Wednesday. So that's
good.
to handle your EMS budget for the next probably, hopefully 2 years, or to help fund it. So that's very, very good news. I'm glad to have that settled. And also, the last thing in my report is to express my appreciation to all of you and to the public, all of you. I've worked with many boards of supervisors. I've worked with a lot of the public, and I appreciate you all. Thank you.
We appreciate you. I just want to say one thing about that Dominion update too is Ms. Carter and Mr. Carter worked very hard on that and diligently, and a lot of hours and sweat and tears went into that, and say threats or whatever you want to call it. Anyway, it happened, and it's a big feather in the cap of Buckingham to help ease some of the pain to the taxpayers. So I do appreciate that. A good job. Thank you so much. Informational items is number one. The May is in your packet. The May building permit, CRC information, and the school membership report. Item S is other board matters. There are none. We're going to go to item T, which is executive closed session. Mr. Miles.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that the Board of Supervisors enter into executive closed session under the Code of Virginia, exactly 2.2-3711.A.1 for discussion, consideration, or interviews of prospective candidates for employment assignment, appointment, promotion, performance, demotion, salaries, disciplining, or resignation of specific public officers, appointees, or employees of any public body, and evaluations of performance of departments.
We'll see.
A motion and need a second.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Let's call for the vote. Okay, it's unanimous. We'll be going into closed session.
Back in
Hey,
the
listen, I see my third grade teacher sitting there down in the audience. I gotta go and say hello.
Good grade teacher.
Okay.
Who is that?
Do we want to go in the small room?
Okay, that's fine. It's up to
Y'all want to go in there?
that's good.
Yeah, let's stay in here.
Okay.
Call. Tell them they can stay in here.
All right.
They don't need to.
Go.
Okay. Like old times. the Board of Supervisors return to open session and certify that to the best of each board member's knowledge, only business matters related to the codes of Virginia, which the executive meeting was convened, was discussed or considered in the executive closed session, sir.
Second.
Got a motion and a second, so can we call for the vote and come out of closed session? It's unanimous, 6-0 to come back into closed session. Action that was taken in closed session.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I make a motion that we have Mr. Carter, call Carter, offer him a contract, and he accepted. And I believe we'll have him under condition he accept the contract on.
Have a motion by Mr. Chambers that the board offered Mr. Carter a job as the county administrator of Buckingham County, Virginia, and a contract. So, and Mr. Carter accepted those terms. Have a second? Yes,
Yeah.
we do. And call for the vote. 6-0, unanimous, 1 absent.
Congratulations.
Thank you for the opportunity.
The next item on the, from closed session is going to be the hiring of a finance director.
Advertising.
Or advertising, but it'll be hiring if we get to that point. So, advertising for the finance director slash HR, is that what you're gonna do? Okay. All right, and we'll need a motion for that.
Is the board ready, Ms. Lamb, for that, isn't it?
Oh, now you can.
Make a motion.
Second.
Got a motion and a second, and call for the vote, please. Unanimous, 6-0. No other announcements or discussion. We are adjourned.